although we would always say that there's no need for us to use the parallel market rate as a basis or benchmark for determining the value of the naira, you will observe that about 3 months ago, that market was above 500 naira to the dollar. But today, we've started to see a downward trend. We have indeed seen downward trend from that level to as low as at some point 375, 370, and now hovers between 375 and 385. That for us is a significant achievement in the direction of convergence of rates. We would prefer a convergence that would significantly be going southwards than a convergence that will go northwards. So, but the fact that we are seeing a convergence in the southward direction gives us a lot of hope that things are working in the right direction. How far will CBN go in sustaining its current intervention? I have said it, and I will repeat myself, that CBN, the interventions will be more vigorous and intense to underscore the fact that we are determined to ensure that the Nigerian economy recovers by making sure that foreign exchange is made available to all sectors of the Nigerian economy to conduct their business. Manufacturers have called for a reduced interest rate. Indeed, it's not only manufacturers that have called for a low interest rate. Even me, I want a very low interest rate. But the economic aggregates that is usually presented to us, or that we see today, unfortunately does not give room for us to begin to look at that direction of signaling a further downward trend in interest rates. And the truth is that, and you would have read IMF or World Bank reports, and what they have always insisted is that indeed we should tighten, and we should tighten further. But rather than tighten, what the Monetary Policy Committee has decided to do is to hold and then watch, given that we had embarked on a consistent policy tightening before we decided to adopt the hold strategy.
The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, of course, answering some questions there after reading the communique of the 8-member committee. 1 member was absent, as you may have heard, of course, decided to hold all the parameters unchanged. Our panel here in the studios too, the final lap of these live studio conversations from Channels Television Global Headquarters in Lagos, Pabina Yinkere, who is the Director of Institutional Sales at Vetiva Capital Management, Robert Omotunde, who is the Head of Investment Research at Afrinvest, and Kemi Akinde, the Head of Research and Strategy at Meristem Securities. Thank you very much for folks for keeping around here. We've all listened to the Governor of the Central Bank. Kemi, let's start from you, the head of the table. What's your takeaway from this presentation of the communique? What do you read as a final decisions, even deciding to hold rates unchanged? Does it say anything about where we go from here?
Maybe not strongly, because I said earlier on that there are arguments on both sides, and he also presented the arguments on either side. Well, I think one prominent thing people really talked about was, or the questions that came on board, was with respect to the interest rates. And but really, the pass-through, not having that pass-through as effective as it should be, is not a citizen of Nigeria. It's global. And I remember in August, when the Bank of England reduced rates, they actually come up with a term funding scheme to ensure a pass-through to households and also to governments. Even in the US, when they reduce rates, what they actually do is to engage in market transactions, buy and sell Federal Reserves, and also engage in repo transactions to actually bring rates to that particular target. So, and I think the same thing that the CBN has actually done, for agri, for example, they can be able to access loans at very moderate rates and all that. But with respect to the sticky, we talk about interest rate being sticky downwards, and that's what most people are actually saying. The truth is, there is a framework. Now, in the framework, you have your cost of funds. Do you get it? And it's about your CASA mix. Now, the CBN actually did something very interesting when they benchmarked savings rates to 30% of MPR, because the cost of savings rate goes into the cost of funds. And of course, if they benchmark, so when they reduce MPR, savings rate should reduce, and that's part of the cost of funds. But there are some other items there. You're having the OPEX of the bank, executive compensation, bonuses, required return on investments by the shareholder. So the higher the non-systematic risks I see, the higher my required return. Also, even the opportunity costs of non-interest earning assets also goes into determining the lending rate. So even if you bring down MPR and these other factors tell me that I can't reduce my lending rate, then there is nothing I can do. And also for banks, we need to know, when you're telling banks to expand their balance sheets now, let's take it. Outside of Nigeria, in some other jurisdictions, you don't have the limits on the loan to deposits. But here we have limits on loan to deposits. So if you can't drive deposits, if you can't accumulate more deposits,